Good morning and welcome to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter, the show that takes a look at the events and what's happening all around Putnam County, as well as interviews with local, community, and business leaders. And now, sharing his insights and experience, here's Today in Putnam County with County Mayor Randy Porter.
Welcome to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Hope you're having a great week and a great 2025 starting off. This week's show, it's about new businesses coming to Putnam County and how does all that work and what makes a new business want to decide to locate here. And so we've got one of our top restaurants here in Putnam County that's with us today, and that's the Texas Roadhouse. I've got Jim and Bridgett Jolly with me today. They own the Texas Roadhouse here and operate it. And Jim, Bridgett, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.
So, Jim, you and I met back when you first started looking at bringing a Texas Roadhouse here. And so I thought in today's show, we'd talk about all those things and decisions that's made on a level, I guess, at the corporate on these companies as to what makes you decide to want to come to a place like Cookeville and how all that goes. And then, Bridgett, part of your job going around on these new restaurants that open, and you're training everyone on all the new staff and everything to open that restaurant, which I think is unbelievable and how all that happens. But we want to have you all on the show and talk about all that and what a blessing you have been to our community. I mean, we eat there all the time. People love it. But y'all are such a part of our community. Jim hardly misses a ribbon cutting. He's with me at almost every ribbon cutting, taking part in the chamber, and that means a lot. So I want to say thank you to both of y'all for what y'all have done. So let's go back to the beginning on Texas Roadhouse. A man by the name of Mr. Kent Taylor, I think back in 1993, Jim started it with one.
Yep, it started outside of Louisville, Kentucky. Started with one store. It's actually across the river in Indiana, Clarksville, Indiana. So in a mall. He had owned a couple of restaurants. He had been a Bennigan's manager before, if anybody remembers the old Bennigan's chain, and moved back home to Louisville, Kentucky, and started his own restaurant. So
what I read, his goal is that he wanted everything to be made from scratch, right?
Right, and we still do that. Everything in the restaurant's made from scratch. We hand cut our steaks. We make all the dressings, all the side items, the butter, the croutons, bread. Everything's made from scratch in the restaurant.
And I think that's amazing to be able to do that. That sounds difficult, though, to be in the restaurant business and serve the amount of people that y'all serve and still be able to do that. It takes a lot of processes in place to make it all happen, right?
It's a little more labor intensive, yes. That's part of the reason we don't open till 3 most of the days during the week, because they come in at 9 o'clock and they're prepping, making items, getting prepared for the afternoon and for the weekend, getting stacked up. So, but it's worth it. It's like going to grandma's house. Everything's made from scratch. So
yeah, even those rolls when you walk in the door, you know that you're making those rolls.
That was Kent's idea. The first thing you walk in, you get hit with that, the fresh
smell
hit
smell. You. I've had that question lots. Why does Texas Roadhouse not open for lunch? And that's what your main reason is you're preparing all the food and everything.
Right. That, and typically the check average is higher at night than lunch. People eat heavier at night. So we do open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We start open Friday for lunch. It really comes down to a cost and preparation.
Yeah.
So
both of you been with Texas Roadhouse for years.
I've been with them almost 7 years.
7 years in Jim?
Well over 7. Yeah, it was 7.
And so where did you start out at?
We lived in Tupelo, Mississippi. We used to work for Cracker Barrel. And we knew this was the number one Cracker Barrel for years and years.
Oh, for years, yeah.
Sid ran it for 40 years, and I knew him well. I'd worked for Cracker Barrel for 16 years. And Cracker Barrel used to own Logan's, so it was one of the better Logan's.
Right.
And a good friend of mine who owns these McAllisters, David Blackburn, used to be the head guy at O'Charlie's, and that was his number one O'Charlie's in the nation. So I knew people like to eat around here.
Oh, absolutely.
So when I was talking to my partner about opportunities, Cookeville came up and I said, you know what, I like that area. I remember the area from back in the summers. We used to do summer church camp here, and I knew it was a really pretty area, a lot of lakes, a lot of waterfalls, and people like to eat.
Yeah.
So we chose Cookeville. That's where we decided to build our store.
And so you hit on a lot of our existing restaurants that were here. It used to not be that way in Cookeville. We didn't have a lot of eateries, but when liquor by the drink and all those kind of things passed back in the 90s, Applebee's and O'Charlie's were the first two restaurants we got. You couldn't get in O'Charlie's for, I mean, it was a huge wait line. They had one of the number one stores, you're right, Cracker Barrel, the same way. So when you're looking at a place to come to, you're looking at those kind of things as the landscape and and populations and all those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, they have some people who crunch numbers at the home office and are looking at areas, but typically you can kind of tell when an area is ready for a restaurant, you know. And we draw from, Salina, Livingston,
14
Jamestown,
counties,
Sparta, all over. So we have, I always say with about a 50-mile radius is our audience, that we're looking for. So
we're talking with Jim and Bridgett Jolly. Jim, they call you the local owners, the managing partners, whatever the name is, but they're here with our Texas Roadhouse, and we're talking about what brought them here and the history of Texas Roadhouse. When you look at Texas Roadhouse and when Kent was looking, when he created them, in the beginning, he wasn't real successful, was he?
No, I think they actually closed 3 of the first 5.
Yeah.
He had a couple of stores that did really well, but the first 5, I think 3 of them just... some of them were spread out a little too far. He built one in Florida and one, that just too far for demand and not enough name recognition.
Yeah.
But as we've grown over the years and the name has been well known, and we're up to 650 stores now. So it's really grown.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you think his success, he kind of faltered there in the beginning, and then it's like something happened. Was there something that did sticks out that
he reached out to some of his old Bennigan's people? I used to work at Bennigan's in Memphis, where I grew up, and that was my first restaurant I managed. But when Bennigan's was going through bankruptcy, Bennigan's Steak and Ale, he reached out to them, and some of his old bosses came on board. They started off in Texas, and it grew like wildfire. Started in Florida, and same thing. And there were at one point over 200 Bennigan's managers that came aboard and helped grow it to what it is today.
Wow. From everything I read about him, he seemed like such a nice guy. I was reading that during COVID, he donated his entire salary of $800,000 to help his employees.
Yeah, he actually helped make sure everybody got a check, to help pay the bills. So he was a remarkable guy. He's really eccentric, real fun to be around, but really took care of his people. And, he always says we're a people-first company. It just happens to sell steak.
Wow.
So
it's been an amazing run, I know, for you with Texas Roadhouse, and it was him. So y'all started 7 years ago with Texas Roadhouse. Which one did you start at? Where you said in Tupelo, Mississippi?
I was in Tupelo.
Yeah.
I went to training in Texarkana, Texas for 4 months. And then when I came back, they asked me to help run Memphis. So I started off in Memphis as a managing partner, ran that for about, 6 months, I guess it was?
About 8 months.
And then we were slated for construction here, went through some ownership changes with the land and had some opportunities. And actually, the spot we're in now, Miller's Ale House was going to build. And
That's right.
When COVID happened, they decided to let go of their letter of intent, and we jumped on it. And so that's why we were able to get to that spot.
Because you originally were going to be back up on the hill, right up behind Starbucks?
Behind Starbucks. They were going to put a road in there and actually build that Home 2 and some other retail in that area as well. It looks like they're starting to do a little construction there, I noticed the other day.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and we're excited to see what's going to happen there. But it wound up being a better location of you being down on Interstate Drive, right?
I think so. Much more visibility, easier to get in and out. So, yeah, I think so.
When you start looking at what you thought you were going to do with Texas Roadhouse revenue-wise and everything, has it outpaced?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I remember when we opened up Jackson, Tennessee, and we were supposed to come right here, and that got pushed back. And so we went to Horn Lake, Mississippi, which is right in the Memphis line, and ran it for 8 months. And we turned that store around. It had been faltering for a while, but it had been open 20 years. We hit $5 million, which was a big celebration and a huge, first time they ever done that much in sales. So that was kind of the goal.
Yeah.
And that was about average pre-COVID. And now that's low volume for Texas Roadhouse. This year, we'll hit $9 million in sales.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. I pinch myself every day, really blessed. I tell a story a lot of times that we wrote scripture on the interior walls.
Yeah.
And I had Bobby Davis come out and say a blessing or prosperity. And I always joke with him and said, you should have sent one of the associates because you did too good of a job. We've been really blessed.
Really good, didn't
it? It's been good. In fact, we're building an addition right now, adding about 50 to 60 seats on the front and another dining room. So
we won't talk about that. That's great that you're growing. You're listed today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. We got Jim and Bridgett Jolly with us today. We're talking about Texas Roadhouse and what makes these businesses attracted to Cookeville and all the decisions and everything they have to make to come here. We got to take a break, though. Stay with us.
And now back to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.
Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Hope you're having a great week. Our show this week is about one of our local restaurants, Texas Roadhouse. I've got Jim and Bridgett Jolly with me today. They're my guests. We're talking about what brought them to Cookeville and all the many things that's happening with them and some new expansion they're looking at. And then talking to Bridgett, she actually goes and opens up new Texas Roadhouse training and everything. So we're glad to have them on today. And guys, we were talking, Jim, that your expectations for the new store here were just blown away with what's happened, right?
Definitely far exceeded, yes.
And so when you start looking, and I think a lot of folks, when they look at Cookeville, they think of, okay, you know, Putnam County's got a population of 75,000, 80,000, and they're not looking, though, at the whole service area, are they? Because, I mean, I come to your place to eat, and I look through the parking lot, and less than half of the cars are from Putnam County.
You see a lot of White County, even Fentress, Overton. I always say, like I said, about a 50-mile radius, but it may be even a little more than that, because we get a lot from even Crossville and that area that come in to eat with us. And I even have people coming from Lebanon who don't want to drive to Murfreesboro, Henderson, and come to our location. So
well, and interstate traffic too. I mean, you've got a name brand.
Right.
Everybody knows Texas Roadhouse. If you're going to eat at this one or the one in Mississippi, it's going to be the same. You get to attract a lot of that coming off the interstate.
I can tell, like when the Vols are playing, I get a lot of jerseys, people come through, even the Predators or the Titans. I see a lot of traffic, people coming from Knoxville into Nashville or from Nashville into Knoxville. So we're really a hot spot in between Nashville and Knoxville. There's really not too many other places to stop.
Right.
So we get a lot of traffic from that. And then during the summer, we get a lot of traffic from the lakes, you know, from Dale Hollow and Center Hill. So it's all year long, you know. And then with Tech here, we were just talking the other day, the last couple of days, they had first day of class, move-in days. You see a lot of parents coming in and taking kids out, you know, say goodbye after they moved them in, leave them at the dorm. So a lot of tears.
A lot of tears, yeah.
But it's definitely based on what's going on in the community.
Yeah. I know we're very fortunate to be a college town. Does that help you in your business? Do you hire a lot of tech students?
Oh, definitely. We always laugh. I tell Dr. Odom we're the largest employer, probably second behind him of tech. But we have a ton of students, and we really don't have a lot of turnover. Majority of them are servers, and we have about 75 servers. So, but most of them are part-time. You know, we were very flexible, work around their schedule. I actually waited tables when I was in college at the University of Memphis years ago, and it's a really good way for them to come in, make some money. We close at 10, so it's not too late for them to get up for their 8 o'clock class. And, you know, like I said, come in, make some cash, and get home to study and whatever it may be. But we really have very low turnover. They make good money, and so the only time we actually lose them is when they graduate. So,
and they move
can't
away.
blame them for that. It's great. We like to see them, you know, succeed and move on.
So, and Bridgett, you do the training and everything with these folks. I know the money is part of it, but is it the atmosphere that y'all provide that keeps them?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, we love our kids. We do. And I'm kind of their mama, you know, especially for the ones that are away from home. So I think we provide them a safe space, and they find their voice a lot of times. I mean, they'll come in shy little, you know, and then you see them, you know, just find their voice and blossom, and it's so fun to watch.
They seem happy.
Yeah.
Your place, and I'm not saying there's nothing against anybody else, but you have a different atmosphere than other restaurants do. And
it's pretty laid back. We try to make it fun. That's part of our core values, and we want it to be a place where they have a good time. Nobody wants to be thinking, I don't want to go to work today. You know, they like to come in and line dance and cut up.
Yeah, the line dancing. So where did that come from? Has that always been something?
No, it started, I think, about 10 or 15 years ago. One of the stores in Kentucky, the reason they really did it was because the kitchen was getting so busy, they needed a break. And so about once an hour, they'd take 5 minutes to go line dance, and it helped the kitchen get caught up and the flow of food coming out improved. So everybody just kind of started doing it, and then it just became a thing we do. You know, we yell yeehaw for birthdays.
Oh,
and loud
and the saddle thing. What's up with so talk about that. What's up with the saddle?
Well, we bring the saddle out, let you hop on it and lasso and, you know, yell yeehaw for your birthday. It's just kind of different from some of the other places where they just come sing. You know, we kind of give you a little something to do, and everybody loves to record it, put it on Facebook, and, you know, embarrass you a little bit, but people love it. They do. I've had a 96-year-old lady.
I was about to ask you, what was the oldest person you'd had? 96.
I didn't even have to help her on or off the saddle. She was in good shape. But wow. It's amazing. You have little kids that want to do it, and older people too. So all ages in between.
It's amazing to be sitting there eating, and all of a sudden you hear it. I mean, you know, and your folks are not shy when it comes to singing and
at all.
And dancing.
We're kind of known as being a little louder than most places.
Yeah,
a little rowdy. It's kind of part of what we are. are. It's our atmosphere. It's our energy.
Different strokes for different folks. That's what it's all about. Talk a little bit about, you told me a number the other day that just blowed my mind, that you had like 300 and something people on a waiting list to get in to sit down at one time.
Yeah, that's why we're adding on and adding another dining room. On typically Friday and Saturday nights, we go up to about 300 people waiting. And it's amazing. Some people are waiting an hour, hour and a half to come in. It's a lot easier if they'll go online.
Yeah, with the app.
So they can wait at home. But sometimes they'll come in, put their name on the list, and sit in the parking lot, maybe go run some errands, go to Academy, and come back in an hour or so. But we're up to 300 people. It's like, well, we're going to be busy for a while. It's going to be stay steady.
How often do you turn them over?
Our goal was 200, but we're hitting about 240. We're pretty quick getting them in and out.
Per hour?
Per hour. So that's our power hours when we're busy and on wait. About 240 people an hour is about the average.
What's your seating capacity now?
It's a little below 200. I think it's 197, 199.
And then you're doing this.
This will help us add about 50 more seats.
You're doing this renovation out to the side, and folks, if you start going by, you see the track hole and everything's already started. You're adding a new room, right?
Right. They actually poured the concrete yesterday, so we're excited. It'll add about 50 to 58 seats. The tables will pull out, so we'll have room for parties, a room for areas where people want to sit with groups. We're looking forward to it. It'll be a little bit of a grind on the kitchen at first till they get used to it, but they're pretty strong. They'll persevere. So
with that kind of sales and people wanting to come, where do they start looking at a second Texas Roadhouse coming in somewhere? I mean, does corporate look at that?
We do. My partner is out of Brentwood. He does the real estate and builds the stores, and he kind of picks the sites. So we have two more coming in Nashville, one Mount Juliet, one in Antioch. We built one in Spring Hill last year, relocated the one in Hendersonville, and it's just been really blessed. I mean, that whole Nashville market's just booming. So
it is. My sister lives in Hendersonville, and y'all just renovated or whatever you did.
Relocated it to a new location.
That is an amazing new store. We go down there and eat with them.
It's a little bigger footprint than us, and once we get our dining room added in the front, it'll be about the same size. So we're looking forward to competing with them.
Absolutely. Hey, you're listening today in Putnam County. We got to take a quick break. We're talking with Jim and Bridgett Jolly. They are the managing partners, owners, whatever you want to talk about with Texas Roadhouse. And we've been talking to them about what brought them here and how business is going and what the future looks like. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And now, back to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.
Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Hope you're having a great week. Our show this week is about one of our local businesses that moved here a few years ago. It's the Texas Roadhouse. They've been booming since they came, and we've been talking to Jim and Bridgett Jolly with Texas Roadhouse about what brought them here and what they look for in a market to look at locating, and they're doing an expansion and all kinds of things. So it's great to have y'all on the show this week. Bridgett, they call you an ad man. I know that's your title, but I talk to Jim all the time, and you're traveling all over the country. You actually physically go and went to a new store and help open it and train all the folks?
I help in the back office. I help set up payroll, invoicing, inventory, and I've got 3 openings already scheduled for this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Texas Roadhouse is growing.
Yes. Very much so.
And so will you go in, you go into town, are you there for weeks or to do that?
Usually I've scheduled about 18 days.
And so you're setting up all the computer software and everything. And so from Texas Roadhouse to Texas Roadhouse, it's all the same?
It's all the same.
So I've noticed with the touch screens that y'all have, it seems a little complicated for an outsider looking in, but the folks that are operating it, it's like it's an easy way to keep up with everything, right?
And we just changed our system, and I'm telling you, like we're on an iPad. Those kids learn it faster than we do.
It's like a video game.
Yeah.
I've got an 8-year-old granddaughter. If I don't know anything about an iPad, go ask her because she can she can do it. Do you enjoy traveling and doing that?
I do. I don't like being away from him, but I do enjoy. It's fun. A lot of energy and
get to meet new people.
Yeah.
It's like starting something new every time.
Every time. Yeah.
We were talking about Texas Roadhouse and inflation during the break. It doesn't seem like with you, with your prices and stuff, that it's hit you as hard. I know you're having to deal with it just like everybody else is, but when you look at a lot of other restaurants where their prices have increased considerably, you seem to be able to keep yours down. How's that possible?
We've always tried to be what I call the working man steakhouse. So we've always tried to be a little bit below the price point of our competitors and be a great value.
Yeah.
We have taken a little bit of an increase in the last couple of years just because our costs, especially on meat, proteins have gone up, but we absorbed some of it as well. So, we're fortunate that we're doing such huge sales that our profits are there where we can, absorb some of the cost ourselves and not just have to pass it on to the guest. That way we know they can come out to eat more often than just a special occasion.
When you start looking at the future, you have to look out a year at a time. And is inflation slowed down any for you? Is it leveled off any?
It has a little bit. We've seen a couple of prices actually decrease, pennies, not a lot, but enough that we know it's not going to keep going through the roof like it was last year. And we're fortunate we have buyers in our corporate office that buy for all 650 stores.
Oh, wow.
So they have some pegboard pricing where they're locked in with a rate for a year. So there's some negotiating there. It's really helping us maintain our costs and be able to still provide a great price point.
You do your own butchering, right? On site.
We age and cut all the meat. So nothing comes in frozen, pre-cut. All the chicken, all the beef, everything is in that back wall on the restaurant. We have two guys, Ben and Dylan, we call them our butchers, and they cut some days 1,200 pounds of meat.
That is amazing.
By hand. So it's a pretty neat process. It really is.
And is it that way in every Texas Roadhouse?
Every Roadhouse. In fact, we have a competition once a year where we have a meat cutoff. We actually go to Nashville, and on the Predators practice rink, because it's got to be cold, we cut against each other, about 25 stores. And the top two actually just went last week to Orlando and cut for the region. So
that's amazing.
It was pretty neat. It really is. And the winner at the end of the competition gets a $30,000 check. So
oh, wow.
Pretty good deal. Yeah.
That's a good competition, isn't it? To be able to win $30,000.
They're paid well, but they really make you or break you. If you have a good meat cutter who gets good yield, who gets good product, you're going to be successful.
Sound like you've got two good ones.
We're very fortunate, very blessed.
You start looking out on the horizon, you hear one person say, well, the economy's not good, and you hear another person say, oh, it's good, and another one says, well, it's fixing to get great. Do you have a forecast in what you see as to how things are going?
It's hard to tell because I really pinch myself every day. I really never thought we'd do the kind of sales that we're doing now. Yeah. It keeps increasing. Honestly, since the election, if this is any sign, it's been through the roof. People seem to be more relaxed and carefree, come out spending money and not worrying about the economy. So hopefully that's the direction we'll go in the next 4 years.
I've heard that from other folks, other businesses in town, and hear other county mayors talking across the state that they're hearing the same thing from their businesses, that since the election, it seems like that folks are more at ease and are more happy about what they think the future is going to bring.
I think so, definitely.
When do you think you'll have your new expansion completed? Do you have any idea?
I'm hoping in 45 days. They said the max is 60. He's making pretty good progress, so we're hoping, 2 or 3 months, be ready to open up.
You guys are so involved in the community, and I think that's great, okay? Jim, you come to all the ribbon cuttings just about, which that's part of my job, to go to all the new ribbon cuttings. But you do that, and you're so involved in your community. Is that common with all the Texas Roadhouse partners?
We want to be involved in the community. That's kind of our core is involvement. Not everybody maybe as involved as I am. I really, being new to town, grew up in Memphis. We've lived in Mississippi for the last 20 years, so we were kind of outsiders. So coming in and being an ambassador for the chambers, getting to know some people, going to the ribbon cuttings. I was fortunate, and they asked me to be on the board, serve with FCA on the board, and just really try to be involved in the community and get to know people. We have 8,000 guests per week coming through our doors.
8,000.
So it's amazing, that many people, and we see a lot of regulars. I've gotten to have a lot of people we call our family members that come in once, twice a week. So we're really blessed, and it's really been great for us in this community.
So the other thing that I noticed about Texas Roadhouse, or you in general, you and Bridgett, y'all give back a lot to the community financially.
Yeah, I was just going through numbers yesterday because the chamber was asking us about donations and sponsorships. And, I was listing on there, we sponsor Red, White, and Boom. And we, do Exceptional Bean. There's a lot of places locally that we do. But we looked at how many meals we'd given out in the last year, and it's in the hundreds of sports teams we fed, schools, just teachers, just a lot of things that we do in the community. Every little event, they ask us, we try to participate and say, we can help sponsor. We can help, even if it's providing a gift card or a dinner for two, we like to make sure we're giving back.
But it feels good to do that. And even he just mentioned Exceptional Bean and what they do.
Yeah.
And I just shared with CG and Michael the other day, they did not know our oldest grandson, who's only 7, is autistic.
Oh.
What they're doing, it means something.
Yes,
so
it does.
We want to be able to give back.
Well, and that's great for y'all to be able to do that. We live in a great community where everyone comes together and gives back. But I thought that was exceptional because I go to a lot of events, a lot of charity functions, involved in a lot of those things. And I see Texas Roadhouse, you're on there with something almost at every one I go to, with either some gift cards or you're sponsoring or you're doing something. So thank you for doing that for our community. That means a lot. Y'all are, you're not just here to run a business, you're here to be part of the community.
Right. That's kind of our goal, to be owner operators and be known as Mr. Texas Roadhouse, and to give back, because we're given so much. We don't want to take for granted. We're very blessed and proud to be part of this community. So we want to make sure the community thrives and that we're, great representation in the community. So
well, y'all have done a great job. Only got a minute or so left, but got to ask you, what about this Taylor guy that works for you?
We're still trying to figure that out.
That's an inside joke, folks. I think Jim would probably call Taylor his right-hand man at Texas Roadhouse.
Him and Brian both. But Brian worked with me at Cracker Barrel, and we were in Tupelo, Mississippi at Cracker Barrel, and he was actually a tech student and didn't know that. And I said, hey, I'm moving to Cookeville. And he's like, well, I'll go back home. So he was glad to come. And then we got Taylor as well. So that was a pretty good team. We've been with us since we opened. So.
They're great folks and always very welcoming. And always, he makes a point every time we're there to come by and talk to us, as do you. And one final question. Y'all put this little sticker of paper at the corner of the table, and somebody will come by during your meal and talk to you and ask you how everything is. But I notice you take that sticker of paper off.
Can't remember where we've been if we don't.
Yeah, it lets us know we've touched the table. If we see it hanging, we're like, oh, we need to go over there and talk to them. I usually don't do it till they get their food.
Yeah.
That's, if we may need to cook the steak up or redo it or, change a side item or something. But we always try to go by and make sure we touch every table,
Well, I think that's very important. I know it means a lot. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Jim came by, the owner came by and checked on me, or Bridgett or Taylor, and to make sure everything's okay. I think that's very admirable for what y'all do. Guys, thanks for being on the show, and thanks for being in our community, and thanks for what you do for our community. Not only are you running a business here, y'all give back to the community and you're part of it, and we're happy you're here.
Thank you.
We're happy
Thanks for
to
having
be
us
here.
today.
Thank you.
Hey, that's our show this week. Thanks for joining us. Hope you join us every week for Today in Putnam County. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and may God continue to bless Putnam County.
You've been listening to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.